Hello and welcome to a new episode of The Ramp. Today we are super excited because we have Kristian Lohnaas from Kvant with us. He's the founder and CEO of Kvant, and we are now today going to talk about a lot of interesting stuff around management consulting, executive search. Kvant is part of Scale, which is also owning Ambi. So we have a long-term relationship, and happy to chat a bit more about recruitment.
Thank you very much, Tor, and thank you for having me. Very excited.
Cool. Okay, before we jump into the details, Ole, give us a bit of a background on your journey until your Kvant days.
Yeah. So I sort of started with got my degree from Bergen, Norwegian School of Economics, and as many others, sort of just fumbled into management consulting in lack of better direction and ideas.
Mainstream move.
Mainstream move, kind of, yeah. But it was a really good start. So I had my first few years at EY, doing consulting projects primarily within commercial development and profit improvement. Sort of building my potato profile, doing a lot of various stuff. That was really good, and you learn a lot, and then as many others in that line of work, you sort of curious on what to do next, and I didn't have any great ideas, but I found some.
Moving from consulting to executive search, very different move. So what triggered that move?
Yeah. It was kind of honestly unexpected because there's not a lot of people who does that switch. But once I sort of got into the idea and started talking with people in the industry, I mean, now it sort of triggered me a lot on several points. I think that, first of all, there are a lot of similarities between management consulting and recruitment, a lot more than what I thought. It's about sort of understanding a variety of industries quickly, being able to sort of decompose those kind of situations and problems and convey them in an efficient manner to other. Working in a structured way, it's project-based work, and a lot of communication and stakeholder management. So there's a lot of the same skill set that you need. So that was exciting, being able to use what I've learned and apply it to a whole new industry. And also it kind of, as a people person, it felt on a personal level motivating to be able to try to address a new problem and see if I can solve that. Yeah.
Cool. Interesting move. Let's go into more of the details of today's topic, which is more the management consulting space and also finance talents and strategy talents. So recently you were featured in Finansavisen, where you talked about the market being a bit more challenging for finance talents. Could you elaborate bit more on the market and for us to understand a bit more what's moving in your space?
Yeah. So I think most people now probably have understood that the market is a bit tough. I think you can see that job openings are down compared to previous years. There's a lack of equity or financing in the market, which obviously affects that. And also, if you combine that with, in some ways, a bit higher mobility, I think that last year was tough too, but then a lot of candidates were sitting tight in the market and they wanted security and not willing to move. But now we see that there are a lot of more movements, and I think that sort of you get comfortable with insecurity, and then you start to look out and see if you can move. And if then it's easy supply demand, right? So there's a lack of supply and high demand, which creates high competition, and it's getting kind of tough out there for the high performers in the market. So that's what we see, at least.
So I assume you're seeing this in the number of applications you're receiving and a bit more willingness to move and be mobile in the market?
Yeah. You obviously have the quantitative numbers that are very much up. So there's a lot of more applicants. You get more relevant applicants, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's also a lot tougher to sort of, as you say in Norwegian, skille klinten fra hveten for the Norwegian listeners. But it's also on the qualitative side that the candidates are much more open to sort of look into different types of roles than what they wanted before. And if we talk about management consultant, I think that in the heydays during and after COVID, they were very picky in terms of what mandate they wanted to have, which companies they wanted to work with, what type of problems they wanted to solve. But now they're much more open to getting into more operational gigs, working with commercial problems, more cost efficiency, which is sort of, if you put it bluntly, the more boring stuff. But what is needed right now, right? You can't just do innovation and M&A stuff and create value 10 years from now. You need to create value now.
Yeah, that makes sense. And on that sort of management consulting topic, and we're seeing big change now. We're reading about McKinsey reducing their workforce with, 10%. We're seeing job offers being pulled back for several of the big four companies as well. And so what do you see when you're working with these companies? Do you see do you see the same as we're reading in the papers?
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of changes in the market and a lot of effects happening at the same time. So the 10% cut in McKinsey comes on the back end of them growing with 1/3 over the 3 or 4 years before that.
Yeah, that's massive.
That's massive, right? And probably wasn't sustainable. But once you follow that up with sort of a drawback on demand from bigger clients, you have lack of funding, which sort of decreases the amount of projects. Then you have new competitors coming into the market, and niche competitors actually challenging the bigger firms such as McKinsey and Big Four. Then you sort of get pressure on this, right? And now there's less projects out there, less demand for those type of services. They are moving into sort of less attractive problems and type of projects, which also makes it less attractive for the talents there to stay, which we feel. And so we talk to them every day, and we see that I think that's probably a big thing that affects the willingness to move as well. As I said, the new competitors coming to the market is also challenging them big time. You see AI specific companies where both you specialize in terms of knowing how AI can be used in strategic topics, as well as also automating a lot of the work that actually has been done by consultants before. So it's exciting, but it's challenging, I think. Yeah.
Do you think will the market bounce back, or do you think that AI will reduce the market for management consulting?
I think,
$1 billion question.
Yeah. And this has to be a personal opinion because I don't know the answer. But honestly, I think it won't bounce back to the entire or full scale of what it has been, because in my opinion, that doesn't make quite sense.
No.
Because it's very, very time-consuming work historically. I mean, you put a lot of high-producing, efficient people in one room, and you sort of pump out slides and decks and analysis, which can be done in seconds now. So that obviously sort of take a big chunk out of the amount of headcount that you need in these businesses. So measured in people and dollars, I think that it definitely will be reduced. Yeah.
So if you were to be a CEO of a management consulting firm now, what would you be your strategic bets?
Yeah, niche. So you have to narrow it in, and that's what you see. You see people going very specific into AI. You see companies, at least in the UK, they're a bit before us, but I think it's coming in Norway as well. You see industries. So, for example, pure private equity players, they're moving into Norway now, being established this very second. And also different business models where you see more in the direction of gig economy. So you have companies enabling individual consultants to offer their solutions, package it in under brand and with some tools. And I think that the willingness of individuals to sort of take more of the risk themselves and get more of the payout is increasing, and that's also being catered for.
Yeah. So if you're a management consultant, then a professional that's trying to plan your next career move or trying to position yourself for great stuff in the future, what would you do? What's sort of the thing you would do today?
Work at Quant. No, but if you were to do something else, I would try to sort of invest in your profile in terms of looking more into short-term returns and actually creating value at the present. So we've been through a couple of good years where there has been a lot of focus on how to create long-term value. You sort of have eagerness to invest in projects that might develop to something sometime in the future, and that's the fun stuff, right? Float around on a pink cloud and try to see if we can innovate something cool. But now we're a lot more focused on how to create immediate impact, to work with the bottom line instead of the top revenue. And growth, and I think that you need to sort of get real and get dirty and be able to understand how you can work with the operations and maybe a bit more of the boring stuff. I think that's important.
Yeah. So very concrete, boring stuff with a bit of an AI.
Yeah, and it's unfair to call it boring. Honestly, I think that's maybe the problem. So I don't want to sort of put myself behind that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of companies these days wants to hire ex-management consultants. At least a lot of the clients we're talking to. A typical persona when we're in the job analysis meeting is, I want an ex-management consultant, a jack of all trades. And that might be a good fit. We're seeing that their cognitive potential is great and what they do is often quite good. But at the same time, there might be some good and some challenges with hiring those type of profiles. So what's your take on that?
Well, first of all, I would say that it's a bit dangerous to sort of categorize management consultants very strict because what you have in the persona management consultant is a group of people where you have a high talent density and you have sort of an environment where you train very much on solving complex problems in a high pace. That's a good thing, but I think it's really important to understand that you can find those type of people everywhere. So that's number one. Secondly, I believe that if you are to sort of attract these people, then I think it's important that you find, and now I'm talking about all categories, but the people that are able to solve those types of problems, you need to present them those problems, right? And it's very easy to say that, okay, so I want a high achiever, someone with a strong GMA, great structure, and the ability to sort of work in the unknown and undefined, which is often a skill. And then present them with a very concrete and very routine-based process. You won't succeed in that. And if you were to succeed in acquiring a person like that to work with those types of problems, it'll probably just be short-term. you won't win in the long term. I think that's one thing at least.
Makes sense. So from how I reading your answer to that question is you need to, when you're hiring that type of talent, you need to also give them challenging work.
Yeah.
Do you see any specific roles that work well for the ex-management consulting profiles or these personas that we've just talked about?
Yeah, so like on an overarching level, so provide mandate, not tasks. That's one thing. So then you need to be able to give them roles where the mandate is also a bit varied, and that you sort of it's a bit undefined. Like I said before, we're actually moving into more commercial positions, and you see that the type of people that we hire for those positions are also from management consulting and those type of profiles. But what triggers them in that way is the ability to sort of find new ways to grow and new ways to address commercial problems. So I would say that positions that are more in the line of assessing sort of unknown territory, which can be everything within innovation, it could be everything within growth and new market entries, it could be a lot of stuff within M&A and sort of non-organic growth activities, as you then need to sort of investigate into new opportunities and understand how that sort of might fit with the current situation.
And if I'm a hiring manager trying to attract that type of profile, how can I position my brand to match what they're looking for?
Yeah, good question. And I think that there's probably several different answers to that. Well, if you start with, should you hire these type of profiles? If you have a good answer to that, then tell them that. Because these kind of people are very curious about the business, the concrete problem they're trying to solve, and how this all connects and how one in this position can create value and have an impact on the business. And if you want to attract these kind of people, you need to be able to convey that problem statement in an attractive way. Yeah, it has to be there for them to solve. So that's number one. And like what will be attractive? I would say that you need to convey a message of autonomy. That's important. You need to be able to communicate a variation in everyday work. If it's too repetitive, it might not either be the correct fit or it also gets boring. And I think that you need to be able to provide impact for these people, because that's how they want to create value and they want to have impact and they want to be close to where decisions are made, and you need to be able to provide that.
And I don't know, usually we see from management consulting that people jump off, or in any consulting, that people jump off from, I don't know, 2-3 years and onwards, where they built their toolkit and know how to operate. So what's that sort of typical transition that you see from consulting into product companies? Are they moving from manager level, senior consultant level into a VP level or director level? Obviously, there's no rules in the market, but what are the typical trends in terms of the levels that we're moving from and to?
Yeah, so when you hit the 2-year mark, everyone starts to think, okay, this was fun, I learned a lot, and there's the one answer that you always get when you ask why you're motivated to move out of consulting. It's I want to increase my ownership and see it out long term, because that's the one thing you don't get when you're a consultant, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the gap from 2 to 5 years, so like on a senior consultant level, it's probably where the bigger chunk of the herd is dropping out, so to say. And then you move into more specialized positions, right, without management responsibilities. And like probably 75% of that is some sort of business developer, strategic advisor, project manager, that category. Working with more business development initiatives, project portfolio management, innovation-related tasks, and more sort of structured and growth activities. Yeah. And then you have sort of the second wave, where it's the people who sort of enjoyed staying and developing in consulting and wanted to see how it is to become a manager there, work a little bit more with the commercial side of it. Obviously, then you get the KPIs in terms of having to bring in business for the partners, and as well getting some responsibilities, more responsibility in project management and leadership. But then you find that, okay, I might not want to stay here forever. I might not want to become a partner. And then you have the second wave of exits. And that's probably into some light leadership roles, middle management type of positions, maybe also just some senior specialized roles in the same category that we just talked about. And beyond that, I think that once you sort of get into more senior positions and more of a higher responsibility in terms of the overarching business, I think that actually management consultants are sort of lacking some important experience in order to really compete for those type of positions. So like staying until you're a director often actually pose as a challenge for many people, because then you have to sort of drop down and compete with managers, because that's the position you're sort of ready for.
Yeah, makes sense. How is we talked about how you can pitch this to management consultants and how you can attract them as a product company. What about salary? That's obviously an important topic these days with the macro environment and whatnot. At the same time, we're also seeing supply and demand becoming more balanced in a way, more of a buyer's market rather than seller's market. So how has that impacted this space?
I think that the salary has grown a lot in the space itself, right? But and the young consultants are obviously quite demanding in terms of what salary they would want if they were to move out. I think that the more senior consultants are probably a bit more mature in knowing what you can expect when you move out, because it's hard to compete with the salaries that you give a 8 to 10 year in consultant in a line position. So I think that most managers and upwards that are exiting consultant probably get a drop in salary, which I think that it's just the way it is.
Yeah. It's expected.
It's expected, yeah.
So, but then you typically play to other value props in a way, work-life balance.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And at least in this market, I think that it's a sort of educational crisis that we're in, if we were to call it a crisis. But
it's a tabloid statement, but good.
yeah, but I truly believe it, because I feel that the years we've been through sort of built up a lot of egos, maybe to an extent that's beyond what's healthy. And now that really skilled people also has to compete for positions and that we feel that, okay, you can't just grow into the sky in terms of responsibility and salary, and you actually see that there's a lot of good people out there, then it sort of falls more into a sustainable pace and position, I think.
You guys came out with a very interesting article series on high performers and high potentials, where you interviewed really, really successful people. I'm trying to understand, what do you see as common traits? What did you learn from those conversations?
So what is a high performer? I would say that it's quite measurable. So a high performer is someone who actually are able to and create great results. So it's based on the results, and you can draw a parallel to sports. I mean, you can be very talented, but the high performers are those who actually creates the results, right? And then it's interesting to dig into and see, okay, so who and how sort of manage to create those results, and what are the typical traits that we see. And I think that what we learn both in doing those interviews as well as talking to like hundreds of people in our daily work, there are some very sort of repetitive traits that we see over and over. And number one, I think this is this is spoken to death in these types of talks, but it's sort of the commitment and the ambition to succeed, the willingness to succeed,
grit.
the grit, exactly. And you can phrase it in many ways, but you have to have it if you want to succeed. There are so many really smart and really skilled people out there, but if you want to stand out, you need to be able to work for it. And that's what you see in business, and that's what you will see in sport, that the people who succeed, they mean business and they go for it. So that's number one. And those who sort of manage to actually succeed are probably those who can combine that with great people skills and the ability to solve complex problems. So to sum it up, that's the willingness and ability to succeed. Quite simple, actually, but the devil is in the detail behind that.
The holy triangle, in a way: ability, willingness, the people skills.
And obviously the sort of weighting within that is a bit different based on who you are and where you try to succeed and in what context. And if you are more in a junior position, you probably are stronger on the willingness and the problem solving end of it. And as you move upwards towards more management and more executive position, the people part of it becomes more and more important. And then you have to succeed through others, right? So it also varies a lot.
Good points. Do you think these skills and the willingness can be trained and developed? Let's say you have young professional listening to this podcast and that wants to do fantastic stuff. Or do you think that person, okay, I'll follow Ole's advice and let's sort of go? Or do you think it's like something you've born with, this or that willingness? Is it ingrained in personality? Is it life events? Without going Freud on this, like, how do you see this?
I certainly hope you can train it because that's what I'm trying to do. But obviously you sort of it's eternal discussion on what you sort of born with and how you develop. But I think that you have a starting point and you have some things that are easier for you than others. But beyond that, I think you very much can develop both the ability to solve complex problems and develop how you sort of cope with your personality and how you use your personality to create results and work with other people. for some people it comes easy, for some people it don't. The only thing that is 100% your choice and in your control is to commit. And that's why it's also so important. You can choose it. If you want it, then choose it, and you have to choose it all the time.
Makes sense. And Kvant has taken a position where you hire a lot of these leaders of tomorrow, basically, where you have to look for this potential. They might not necessarily have the track record today, so you're looking for management potential and great talent. So how do you design your recruitment processes around that to spot those winners?
Well, that's the difficult part, right? Because historically, executive search is very much a research into what has been done, right? And that makes sense, because the sort of the most robust evidence you have is actually historical results, right? But I mean, Barcelona picked up Messi without any results, right? So that can work too, and that's why I also think it's important to invest in finding those talents early on. And I think that more and more companies now are open to the idea of having young leaders, and I think you see that more and more around, probably aligned with the growth in technology, right? And you see that competence comes with the new generation. But back to your question, it's how do we sort of spot those talents? And I think that, well, first of all, you need to have sort of a robust process, right? Where you need to build data points that can increase the probability of succession, or not succession, but success. And that evolves around having strong business cases that you solve throughout the process. You need to have a structured interview. You need to test and talk about the personality traits and understand how that plays out in the real world. And you need to test abilities, right? Because that's sort of going into the golden triangle, as you said. And then you need to be very thorough in understanding how that has played out so far in the position that they had, and make sure that what you observe and how you address the person that you're talking to actually aligns with what has happened in the real life. Because this is very smart people, right? And they're able to convey a picture of themselves that might not be reality. I don't think that people out there are trying to do that, but it's an interview setting. It's some kind of competition, right? You want to get the job, and then you want to present yourself well. But I think it's really important to present yourself right, and that's our job to make sure that what you see is what you get.
What you see is what you get. Thank you so much, Ole, for joining the Ramp. Really appreciate your input on the management consulting space.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.